What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the shop. Today we're working on the Subaru again, and that big box of parts is getting installed. So before we start here, this purchase is or was directly related to all the car shows that I managed to get to this summer, or I should say this fall. Slammed Enough Portland, Fall Fest, and Import Expo, and yeah, seeing all the other cars there just made me want to spend money and do better for next year. So this is this is where this big box has come from. So yeah, let's well, I've already opened it up, but I'm gonna lay out all the pieces for you guys on the bench there, and I'll show you guys what I got. Alright guys, so here we go. We've got the ETS titanium intercooler piping kit, and I picked up their 3.5 inch front mount intercooler. So first off, big shout out to Chris at ETS for making it very easy to spend a lot of money. I gave him a quick call and he was able to answer all my questions, and he was even able to get this sort of custom color done. I guess they used to do their titanium pipe like this, but it wasn't as popular, so they just sort of anodized the whole thing, or they do it just plain brushed. But I did want people to know that it was titanium, so I wanted a little bit of color, but I didn't want it fully blue because the theme of my car is mostly silver. So he was able to get that done and sent from Vancouver, Washington to Vancouver Island, BC in under a week, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, definitely shout out to Chris at ETS for making that happen. And of course we've got all the couplings, we've got all the clamps, and should be fairly straightforward to get this in. Obviously the first thing we need to do is get rid of all the stuff that we don't need anymore, like the top mount intercooler. So yeah, let's get started on that. Alright, so pretty straightforward to get the intercooler off. I feel like most Subaru people should be familiar with how to do that at this point. A couple things that I can see potentially I might need to add are the stubby oil filler neck, just to clear the pipes a little bit better. If you have an air oil separator, you might want to get the center bracket, and I'm not entirely sure how well the piping is going to fit around this coolant expansion tank, but we'll see when we get there. And then I'm hoping that it sort of clears my kind of custom intake, but if you don't have something like that, you probably should be all right. But next up, we will remove the factory bumper bar, and it's just 4 12mm bolts on each side, and should be pretty easy. All right, last bolt here, so just sort of support it so it doesn't fall. Actually, they sort of thought of everything. It's got little clips on the back here, so you actually don't have to worry about it falling. So we're just about at the point where we can start mocking up the intercooler. But before we do that, we should remove these sort of bumper brackets. As you can see, this one's broken. And also remove the splash shield just so we have more room to maneuver the intercooler around. And yeah, so I'll just jack the car up real quick and take those off. So next we'll unclip this little sensor. It's just got a, if you can see that there, sort of push that in, and we'll just take that and flip it around to the other side so we have some more space for the intercooler. Squeeze that. Trickier than it looks. But yeah, we'll just put that in like that. That should be good to go. So I suspect this little tab here is going to interfere with the intercooler, but we'll just prop it up there and see if that does actually get in the way or if the intercooler kind of sits above that. But I have a feeling we're going to have to either bend that out of the way or just cut it off. All right, yeah, so just like I thought, we will have to trim this guy off here. There wasn't actually anything screwed into that anyways, so I don't think it's a big deal. I don't actually know what would even be in there, but yeah, I don't know. If your car has something screwed in there, let me know what's in there, but I'm gonna cut that off. Alright, so I just tried to test fit the intercooler again, and it seems like this little nubbin here sticks out a little bit too much, so I'm just going to trim that sort of straight. If you've watched the Grimspeed video, they do mention trimming this, but it's kind of funny, if you watch the older ETS video, it says no trimming required, so yeah, that's a little bit wrong. Maybe because I do have a 3.5 inch core, maybe the 3-inch core fits a little bit better, but I don't know. Yeah, so I'm just gonna draw a straight line across there and nip that off real quick. All right, so I test fit the intercooler. It seems to clear this bottom portion here. So now what you're gonna wanna do is find this little bag of hardware with 3 bolts and 3 spacers. And we're gonna take this, take that bolt out and replace it with this short spacer and the shorter bolt. And then the 2 longer bolts and 2 longer spacers will mount up to the side there. Let's see if I can do this without dropping it. And you definitely want to remember to take this cardboard off the back here. but I'm just gonna leave it on for now, just for installing this. Quickly get the other ones in there, just so it's not hanging off one bolt. Like to make sure those are started before I use power tools on them, just so I don't strip them. Okay, yeah, not too bad. Intercooler is mounted, and I'll show you a better look at those little spacers. So you can see here that little spacer there, and it's sort of pushed all the way up. That top hole is slotted, so there's a little bit of movement. And then these ones here on the side, and those are just kind of snugged up. I'm not really sure what the torque spec would be on those, but I imagine it's not too crazy tight. And you can see down there the that little support thing down there. You can see where we trimmed off, kind of just right there, and then down in the middle. So plenty of clearance there. I guess all you need to worry about is if this is level, but yeah, that's pretty much it to getting the intercooler mounted to the car. So I think at the start of the video I mentioned there were instructions. There actually aren't any instructions. This piece of paper is basically just a hardware list and sort of a parts list to make sure that you have everything. But yeah, it's up to you to kind of figure out what you need to do here. And based on this sort of list here, I'm assuming that you need to relocate your windshield washer fluid tank, and these look like the brackets to do so. So that will be the next task to figure out. And if you're not sure where your washer fluid reservoir is, it is right there. So I think it kind of becomes clear as to why you need to move that slightly, because I assume the piping is going to come through there. Okay, so in the little package for your washer relocation hardware, got two of these sort of L brackets and then what they call a Z bracket. And I'm assuming that you want to sort of bring the washer fluid reservoir out and down a little bit. So I'm thinking these two brackets will go something like that and lower it just a smidge, and then we'll bring it like an inch out. So there's one screw there, and there's one back in there. So these, like I said, will mount like that, and then the washer reservoir will mount to this hole there. And then this Z bracket will sort of go on to there. So that will basically move all the mounts sort of out and down. And you know, I'm assuming they've thought of everything here, so I don't think it'll interfere with your wheels and tires. Yeah, but anyways, let's give that a shot and see what happens. All right, so they all appear to be 10 mil, so let's try and do this without getting in the way of the camera. So that is held on there with one of these sort of screw clips. So I'll just grab a Phillips and pop that out. And then the reservoir should be free. And I think, like I said, it's gonna come out and then down. So I don't think we'll be utilizing that little clip there anymore. So these clips are pretty simple. Just wanna be gentle. Pop it up. Oh, come on. Okay. So we'll take the old hardware and these brackets in. Come on.
Okay. So something's not lining up here. So I think. Whoa. So I don't think that's quite right because this Z tab isn't really lining up with anything. So I might have this one backwards. So maybe it goes on like that. Make that annoying to do. Let's see if that's sort of lining up with anything. Okay, so that doesn't line up either.
Okay, so this is finally mounted. It is quite finicky to get that sort of all mounted up there. You can kind of see how this is bent back. Doesn't really line up all that well, but it's definitely there. It's definitely moved out and down. One thing I don't really like is that now this sort of filler neck is sort of just free floating. This piece doesn't really have anywhere to attach to, so that is kind of I mean, this whole sort of relocation thing is pretty hokey. It does save you from having to buy that, I think the coolant expansion tank and washer fluid thing all in one from Killer Bee, but honestly I think I'm gonna probably end up getting that anyways because this stuff like this bothers me. Unless I can sort of figure out some way to hook it on there, or I don't know. But that is done, so we can move on to the next step. All right, so now we can start figuring out where our silicone couplers go. This one here, this reducer, this goes to your throttle body. This 90-degree elbow, this one goes to your turbo. In my case, I'm still stock turbo, so the small end goes to the turbo, and then this sort of points up towards your piping. This one here is a joiner between the two pipes that kind of route around the battery on the driver's side, and then these are just they join pipes together, and then I think 2 of these go on the ends of the intercooler. So pretty straightforward. So I'll just pop those on, and then we can start routing the pipe. Alright, so now we can start routing our intercooler piping, and the first one I'm going to start with is this one here that goes to the throttle body. And as you can see, mine has the tile flange. If you're using the stock bypass valve or stock flange blow-off valve, it'll look a little bit different, but basically fits in the same spot. If you're wondering where this little strip of rubber goes, it's meant to go on this metal seam there, just to protect your pipe. But I did fit this on there, and it doesn't appear to be wide enough to actually want to stay on there. So what I think I'm going to do is something that I kind of do on my mountain bikes, is use the soft side of Velcro, and it's sticky on this side. So I'm going to clean that off with some brake cleaner and cut a length of this and just sort of fold it and stick it on. And I think that should be a bit of a better fit, because this doesn't have any, usually this stuff comes with like 3M tape on the inside, but it doesn't. So I'll just do that, and then we'll start feeding in the pipe. I'm actually going to throw some tape on this one. It's super, super tight. All right, let's get this in there. So there's the driver's side intercooler piping, sort of first piece in place, and you can kind of see just how tight it is there. Like, it is actually touching the washer fluid reservoir. And yeah, I highly recommend putting some tape on this just to slide it in, because it was sort of rubbing on all kinds of stuff here. This hard line here is a little bit tricky to get around to, but if you just sort of wiggle it around, yeah, it does go in. And then The trick for this, for me, I push this clamp, or push this silicone coupler all the way onto the intercooler, and then kind of got this in place, and then kind of pulled this out and pushed this in at the same time. So you can see there is a gap there. You can sort of fine tune this to fit. And I think I'll try that actually. See if we can get it a little bit further away from this washer reservoir. But there really isn't too much room to, yeah, so it's actually touching the unibody there. So, you know, actually I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go sort of a couple steps backwards, and I'm just gonna preemptively just delete this and just plan to get, I guess, the Killer Bee dual reservoir, or I think Cobb makes one that's a bit cheaper. But yeah, if you're okay with your pipes touching things and this flopping around, then by all means you don't have to get rid of this. But I'm just going to do that now because it's already bothering me. So that works way better. Yeah, that actually goes in there. There's room to move around. It's not really touching anything, except for maybe that wire there. But yeah, definitely the way to go, removing the stock washer reservoir. But 100% you don't need to do that. I'm just kind of picky. So next I'm just gonna throw the bolt into that mounting location there, just to kind of fix that a little bit better while we sort of jiggle the silicone couplers and pipe in between these two. I did try the new bolt and it doesn't really seem to want to thread in there. I don't know if that's just something wrong with my bracket. Maybe it's sort of stripped out, but as you can see, it's not tapered like the stock bolt. So that might be an issue there. But anyways, this one does thread in, so I'm just going to reuse the stock bolt. Okay, next we'll find the 45 elbow and one of the straight pieces, or one of the straight silicone couplers, and straight one will go on here. And this one will kind of go like that. So if you are finding these difficult to slip on, you can put a little bit of oil on them, or some silicone lube, just to slip them on a little bit better. So the piece that goes in between those two is this one here, and you can see it's not symmetrical, so I guess it's kind of trial and error to see if the long end goes there or the long end goes down here. But you want to try to route it sort of around the oil filler and then not hit this. The fuse box cover. Now if you watch Smedia's video, his pipe is actually one piece, so I couldn't actually find anything to tell me which way this goes. So I guess just try to fit it in here without, you know, so it's still on the clamp, in the couplers, and isn't really kind of binding. So let's see here. So it should look something like that, I think. It's not the best fit. You can see it's kind of ovaling out the coupler a little bit. So I'm going to try to just make these as sort of straight connections as possible. All right, so I've got the last pipe in for the driver's side piping, and I did actually flip it around from what I originally had it before. So I've got the longer leg going down this way, and then the shorter one's up here. And it does seem to fit a little bit better. As you can see here, the coloring is a little bit smudged, so that is from the lube that I used to get these pipes to slide into the silicone couplers. So hopefully with a little bit of alcohol or something like that, I can restore that color, because I think it dulls when you get oil on it or whatever, stuff like that. So hopefully I can clean that up, but yeah, that's fitting pretty good at this point. So you could go ahead and start clamping this side together, because I don't think this side's going to move at all. And yeah, so now we'll start working on the passenger side, and I think we'll start here, and I'm assuming we'll have to remove that horn and some other stuff in the way there. So we'll get started on that next. Ooh, that's not good. But yeah, just a 10 mil bolt holding the horn up there, and then just disconnect it, and you can mount that back up wherever you want. And then you can kind of get a visual of what I'll need to sort of remove next, which is my air intake. So I've got kind of a custom setup. I've got this big long 45 silicone elbow into a Cobb MAF housing. So hopefully I can get that to sort of fit in and around the piping, but I'll just remove that quickly. Pretty much the same process for I guess a stock intake or anything. You might have that little snorkel thing there, but not a big deal to get out of the way. So once you remove whatever sort of air intake setup you've got, you'll be left with this big hole here. No washer reservoir or anything to deal with there, but you will again want to protect your piping from these edges here that are sharp. And yeah, these rubber strips will actually come in handy here, because they do actually fit over top of the edge of the metal here. So we'll want one kind of about there, and then we'll want the other one sort of right there. So that should hopefully prevent you from scratching your pipe if you get close to the edge there, but there's so much room in here. Yeah, it'd be pretty hard to do that, I think. So let's slide our pipe up and in. And we'll slide this end into the silicone coupler. right, just like that. So you can see here, this wire here is pretty tight and it's rubbing on the pipe. So what we can probably do now that we've removed the horn from this location is just loosen this bolt and sort of spin that around just to get that up and out of the way. So there are a couple locating tabs here, just I guess to make the install easier. Might want to bend those out of the way just so we can sort of mount this wherever we want to. So what I ended up doing was just taking this plug off of this little mount, so I can just flip that around, run it behind here, run this other wire up here as well so it's not rubbing on the pipe, and just plug it in back here. And I'll probably come back and I'll just cut that off and maybe put some tape on that just so it doesn't rub. So I've saved the longest and most awkwardly shaped pipe for last, just because I think this one's going to have the most fitment issues, just routing around the AOS. If you don't have an AOS, it's probably just going to go right in, but this one might involve sort of, like I said, I think I mentioned before, getting the bracket to move this over to the center, just so we're not sort of pressing on all this stuff. Because right now there really is no way to route it underneath because you've got the wiring harness coming up right there, so that's pretty well solidly mounted. So we'll go ahead and test fit this and see how we go. The turbo. Oop. All right. All right, let's see what we can do here. Let's give it another shot. But I definitely have my doubts because we got to get from here up to here, and all of this stuff is in the way. So it's either a very precise fit and the angle of this coupler has to be exactly perfect, or we will have to buy some other parts. But let's give it another shot. So, I don't know if it's better to start off here, but certainly if you just kind of lay these down, or lay the pipe down, it doesn't look like there's any way that that's going to fit, because the last coupler we have is only that long, and that gap is a lot bigger, although that does have to slide into that coupler quite a ways. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll try, I'll put that on there. Actually, no, I don't think that's gonna work. So, okay, take that around just a bit. Just angle that so think it should be on the same angle as this one here, so maybe that'll get us started in the right direction. And I did kind of want to avoid using any lube just because it does kind of mess up the finish so far. I think it'll wipe off, but did kind of want to avoid using it, but I think I'm gonna have to just to get that in there. How in the hell is that supposed to? And I guess this tab here is supposed to line up with that, so you can sort of mount that. Yeah, there's no way that this is gonna fit. Yeah, I don't see how that's gonna work. Unless you had lines that were super long and you could just sort of flop them around. But yeah, I don't know. Okay, so I'm gonna rotate this coupler, point more back at the firewall rather than up. Maybe that will get us sort of situated in the right direction. So you can obviously see what the problem is there. We're barely in up there in the turbo coupler, and we're miles away from joining up to that one. And this is the only silicone coupler we've got left. So that's certainly not gonna work. And even if you did sort of jerry rig some kind of a other coupler, this is totally not gonna work. So I think, unless I can find some other information somewhere else, I don't think that this coolant sort of expansion tank is gonna work. I think I'm gonna have to get a different one, and certainly have to get a relocation bracket for the AOS, but I'm not gonna give up quite yet. I'm gonna do a little bit more research and sort of see what other people have done. All right guys, so I'm back after doing a little bit of YouTube research and finding the very few 08 to 14 STIs on there that are running an ETS front mount. It looks like we will have to order some more parts. What I could tell, especially I think Dustin Williams had the best video of showing how this is routed, and this pipe is right down in here in between the coolant expansion tank and kind of your ABS there. So that's definitely not going to fit with what I've got now. And there was another video, I think they're actually local to me, but they had, again, their pipe down low and then their lines running over top, which is not really a great look in my opinion, but it does kind of show that with this current setup and what I've got here, it doesn't actually fit. So that's a bit of a bummer, which kind of sucks because I feel like the video started on such a high note. I was so excited to get this on here, but I did go into this knowing that there would be some kind of potential problems, as there usually are when you're mixing and matching parts from different manufacturers, but that's basically how it goes when you're modding cars. So nice thing is it's almost Black Friday, so hopefully I can take advantage of some sales. I think what I'll have to do is get a sort of like maybe the Killer Bee expansion tank that's quite small, so I've got more space in there. And like I said, certainly the relocation bracket to move that into the middle more. I was sort of pleased to find that I won't have to get the relocated oil filler neck, because that's actually quite expensive. And I mean, I don't really need to get the Killer Bee dual reservoir tank, because that's actually like $600 Canadian, because I don't actually drive this car in bad weather, so I don't really need to use my windshield washer fluid that much. Not too bad of an install, honestly. If you have just a dead stock car with stock parts, like this should all go in within maybe 2 hours, I think, if you want to really throw it together. Honestly, it's not that difficult. So anyways, I will also be getting some different clamps. I know for high boost applications, those T-bolt clamps are kind of the way to go, but I do really prefer these breeze clamps. These ones are silicone hose specific, so they don't damage the hose, and they just look a lot cleaner. You don't get that big bulky mass of a T-bolt clamp. So I will be ordering that. But if you have installed this on your car and you've sort of figured a way around these problems, definitely leave a comment below. Let me know what you've done. Because yeah, I'd really like to see, and it would definitely help other people out. So that's going to be it for this video. Like I said, it started off on such a high note. I was super excited to get this in, but I guess on the bright side, I get to buy more parts. So I'll definitely be back, and I'll show you guys the finished result once I order some more parts. And yeah, like I said, if you have the same car and you've installed this, leave a comment below. It'll definitely help some other people out too. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today. So thanks for watching.